Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. This is for November 9th, 2024. This is episode 317. Stand-up comedian, actor, improviser, and dreamer, Paul Green, coming to you, sharing my thoughts and insights as I pursue my dream in the hopes that perhaps you might just pursue yours. So, what is going on? I'll tell you, I have been knee-deep in advertising. It can be a little demoralizing, if I'm being honest. It's a harsh reality. I was talking today, I got a call from a buddy of mine, Carrie Bellessa, who's an incredible filmmaker. And as a matter of fact, if you want to talk about pursuing dreams, he just got a huge break because a movie that he wrote and produced just got released under the Lionsgate label, and it was released in theaters on a small scale, and then I believe it's on Amazon Prime. And I went and watched the movie. He did a fantastic job. And he gave me a call just to catch up, see what was going on, and we just started talking about what I've been up to with trying to market and advertise my comedy shows. And it's interesting because we're in a similar field. I mean, we're both in entertainment. Obviously, he's a movie maker. That's his angle. I'm a comedian. I'm a performer. That's my angle. That's how I express my art. But at the end of the day, we just talked about how it doesn't really matter how good of an artist you are, how talented you are, how proficient you are, if nobody knows it. And obviously, that's where advertising and marketing comes in. And I think it's a harsh reality that I've really had to grapple with. That success in this field, at least, success that has a high ceiling to it, requires that people know who you are. And, fame is a thing. And if you are a famous comedian, maybe you're not as funny, or maybe you're not the funniest comedian, but people will pay money to go see a famous comedian far more often than they would just pay to go see a comedy show of somebody that they don't know. And the buying of tickets, or, the purchasing of tickets is where the money is. And man, I kind of feel like I'm opening up this podcast with sort of a negative capitalistic reality, and it's a little negative. Well, I don't mean to sound negative. I'm just trying to be realistic with what does it take to be successful in any particular endeavor. And when pursuing a dream, I think that is really important to get very clear on. What does success look like, and what does success take? And then, of course, it begs the question, what do I need to do then to obtain that level of success that I desire? And I think it's different for everybody. What their dream is, what their hopes are, but what they really truly want, what they desire. I think it's very easy as humans to be somewhat trite with, desires and goals. Like, well, what do you want? Oh, I want $1 million. Oh, I want to be rich. Oh, like kind of these sort of blanket trite expressions of some sort of arbitrary measure of success. But really sitting down and getting clear in terms of what does success for me in my life look like, and what does it feel like, and what am I doing every day? Who is in that life with me? What sort of experiences and opportunities are coming my way? And what do I get to do as a result? And also, what am I having to do as a result of that life and of that dream? I think it was Jerry Seinfeld, if I remember correctly, saw him on some podcast or something, and the interview, or he was just talking about how he still sits down and he writes every day. He writes comedy every single day. And the interviewer asked him and said, like, isn't that exhausting? And he just goes, well, that that's the suck of of what I do. He's like, but that's the trick to life, is you have to find the suck that you can tolerate. And he goes, nobody wants to go to the gym every day, but that's what it takes to have a successful, healthy body, is some sort of form of daily exercise and taking care of yourself in that way. For him to fulfill his dreams and to be a successful comedic voice, he has to sit down and write comedy every day. That's just what it takes. That's part of it. And so, for Jerry Seinfeld, before he was famous, I don't think he was just sitting around going, oh, one day I just want to be a millionaire. He was thinking, oh, what would it be like to be a comic? Oh, that means I write every day, and then I perform comedy every night, and I hone my craft and take advantage of opportunities. And, now he's kind of an extreme example because he's probably one of the most financially successful comedians of all time. But, there's some stuff to learn there. So getting back to this idea of advertising, I had to be very honest with myself and go, okay, well, what does success look like for me, and how can I obtain that success? And I thought to myself, well, success to me is the ability to sell tickets to strangers to come and see me perform. Because until strangers will pay money to see me perform, I have just seen enough examples of how low the ceiling of success is for a comedian. And I mean success financially, I mean it emotionally, I mean it just in every sense of the word. And so I had to just be very honest with myself and go, okay, well, if success to me is the capacity to sell tickets to strangers to see me perform, well, then I better figure out how to do that. Because barring some lottery type exposure, I have a viral video pop off, or, I get a random, major TV appearance. And by the way, I know lots of comics who have appeared on major TV shows who still can't sell tickets. So, that's also something that I have to take into consideration and going, oh, well, I could put a ton of work into trying to, get on America's Got Talent, or, to try to get on, The Tonight Show or whatever it is, which, by the way, I don't even know if Tonight Show features up-and-coming comedians anymore. Obviously, they used to, speaking of Seinfeld. But then again, I know comedians who've been on those shows. I know comedians who've been on America's Got Talent, who've been on David Letterman, who've been on Conan O'Brien, who've been on Stephen Colbert. Um, don't know if I know anybody who's been on the Tonight Show personally. I don't think I know anybody on the Tonight Show, but I do know Colbert, Kilburn, Kimmel, Conan, America's Got Talent, Gong Show, Bring the Funny. I know lots of comics who have been on, like major TV shows, and you've never heard of them. You don't know who they are, and they can't sell tickets to a show. So it brings up this, I think it's kind of an uncomfortable friction between art and capitalism. This is a weird topic. I don't know how I got on this. That's the problem with the Paul Green Comedy Podcast, everybody, is I don't really plan out these episodes at all, especially because I'm doing them daily. I just hop on and just start talking about whatever comes out in hopes that if I'm thinking about it, then maybe somebody else has thought about it too, and hopefully my thoughts on it might provide at least some context. But yeah, that's the friction between art and capitalism, and I think it's an ironic conundrum, because I feel like so many artists view it as their sort of goal and like a principle of theirs to be like anti-capitalists, to be like, oh, life isn't about money. Life is about these deeper meanings and, emotion and expression and love and relationships and, overcoming and, the hero's journey and all of these narratives that artists, convey through all of the myriads of outlets that artists assume. But then at the same time, all of these artists, also need to pay bills and make a living. And some of them also have ambitions to be rich and famous. So it's like, you want to be rich and famous, which means you want a lot of money, but then you're also like anti-money. Right? It's this very ironic friction, and I saw that a lot more in Los Angeles. Los Angeles had a tendency to be very left-leaning, very how do I put this? By the way, this is not a political commentary, so please do not make this political. I'm just trying to illustrate a point here. But anyway, I would meet all of these actors who were, again, very, against the rich and, sort of anti-capitalists, kind of more of a left-leaning sort of socialist idea. They believed in, redistributing wealth and helping out, the less fortunate, and, that all the rich, wealthy people are just a bunch of greedy, whatever. And by the way, I'm not saying anything for or against that. I'm just stating that was my observation. But then what I found interesting is that also almost all of them wanted to be rich and famous actors. Right? So it's like, so you hate the rich, but you also want to be one someday. And it's, I don't know. I don't necessarily like that seems to exist, that there is, very wealthy people, and that there are some actors and performers who make millions and millions and millions of dollars while everybody else makes nothing, relative, but that reality does exist. And the artists who have the most value or who make the most money are the artists who can attract and do attract the most eyeballs. Whether that's, a movie that books a famous actor because the movie theaters know if this actor is in our movie, then the movie will sell tickets. James Cameron knew that if he put Leonardo DiCaprio in the Titanic movie, that people would come out to see it. Now, he could have booked, there are probably 100,000 or 1,000,000, young, attractive, cute, charming, teenage-looking type boys who he could have booked. I say boys because I think Leo was, maybe Leo was like early 20s, but, really young. But how many young, charming actors could he have put in there? But not all of them were famous. And that's the case with every movie. Every movie anchors on a few select, very famous actors. Your Brad Pitts, your Robert De Niro's, oh shoot, her name just escaped me. Meryl Streep. Your Meryl Streeps. And yes, they're very talented artists. Yes, they take their craft very seriously. But the reason they are so wealthy is because they attract attention. They can sell tickets. You put them in their movie, it has a much higher probability of people coming to see the movie just because those famous actors are in it. So, where does that leave me as a stand-up comedian? It leaves me with the harsh realization that I can be the funniest guy in town. I could be the funniest guy in the country. I'm not, but I could be. And that could still not lead to any level of financial success, just being really incredibly funny. However, I could be the not funniest person in America, also true. But if I can learn how to market and advertise myself and my shows, then it doesn't really matter. Then when I say learn how to sell and market and advertise my shows, meaning I actually do sell out my shows. So why am I bringing this all up on a podcast that's about going for your dreams and, elevating yourself and expanding and growing and evolving? I bring this up because maybe I don't bring up the counterbalance side to what it means to pursue a dream. It's kind of like what Jerry Seinfeld said. It's like, well, you have to learn what suck you can deal with. Like, to me, it kind of sucks that just being really talented and honing the craft actually isn't enough. Like, you can only get so far with that. And the people who get the farthest are the people who can actually sell tickets, and you don't actually need to be as talented to sell tickets. Now, it never hurts. And, if somebody buys a ticket to a show, you need to give them a good show. Otherwise, they're never going to come back, right? You want to build a brand, you want to build quality, sure. But to be perfectly honest, if I had a choice today towards like, Paul, you are magically now the funniest, most talented actor and comedian in the entire world. Like, anybody who's ever seen you perform will say, yes, he is the funniest guy I have ever seen. Nobody is funnier than him. But I'm not able to sell at a venue. I'm not able to sell tickets at all. Like, I'm always relying on club owners and bookers to put an audience in front of me. So if it's a choice between that or No, Paul, you are definitely very funny. You're talented. You're a great comedian. However, you have figured out how to sell and market and advertise your comedy and your show to strangers. And you can do that in mass. That to me is actually so much more exciting to me. I realize I may not be presenting myself in the most elevated of lights here, but you know, it's just the reality of it, that learning how to market, advertise, and sell is not what I want to be doing necessarily. It's not what I'm excited about, but I'm learning that for me to pursue this dream, that is the quote unquote suck that I need to figure out. Barring, again, some sort of miraculous turn of events that brings some unprecedented amount of fame to me, and fame that's positive fame that then allows me to sell tickets another way. Barring that, this is all I got. And when I really think of my dream and what it is that I really want, yes, being a really talented comedian and actor and a performer and all that are part of it, but what's more compelling to me and what that really means is that strangers who I don't know will pay tickets to come see me perform. And they paid tickets to see me. Like, I'm the one that they are coming to see. Not that they just, bought a ticket to a comedy show and I happen to be there. I mean, that's great, but that means the booker had to do all the work. That means the booker had to take all the risk. The huge amount of risk for, any booker, any club owner to put on a show. It's so much money. It's so much work. It's so much effort. It's thankless a lot of the times. And then they have to pay comedians. It's like, all right, I'm going to give you a incredibly discouraging analogy. I don't know why I'm so sort of in this. Maybe it's just because I've been doing advertising all day, and that's just where my mind is, and it is a reality. But I think of just think of a comedy club and think of their expense sheet, right? So like everything on the expense column, they have to lease their venue, then there's insurance fees, and then, they have to put, toilet paper and paper towels in the bathroom, and they have to have cleaning supplies, and then they have to have tables and chairs and desks, and they have to, sound system, stage, they have to hire some staff, they have to have, drinks and snacks or whatever they are that they are stocking, right? And then they've got to advertise. They got to get people in the doors, advertise, market, sell tickets, do all of that stuff, right? And then all of that is in the hopes that people will show up, buy tickets, spend enough money on the tickets, and then buy enough in, drinks and alcohol or whatever while they're out the venue, that they will then be able to do that thing, which is called making money, which is not an easy task. So if I'm a comedian now that booker is going to put on his show, what side of that balance sheet do I exist on? Well, guess what? I'm on the expense side. I'm on the same side as lease, utilities, toilet paper, paper towels for the bathroom, cleaning supplies, staff, etc., etc., etc. I'm on the expense side, right? Now, how do I get on the revenue side of the balance sheet. Well, how I get on the revenue side of the balance sheet is if people pay money, buy tickets to see me perform. So that is the goal. That is the challenge. That is the focus that I'm working on now. And I'm actually not doing it with my personal brand. I'm doing it for the my 2-person show, the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show, because I think that's a very brandable comedy brand. And that's just kind of the suck that goes along with this dream that I'm pursuing, that I have learned and that I'm learning and just accepting and embracing. And I'm learning to find the excitement and the joy of that part of it. I just thought about how cool it was that on Wednesday night, we did the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show up at a venue that we had never done it before, up at the Desert Ridge Improv up in North Phoenix. We advertised the hell out of that show, and we had about 70 people who I'd never met before, who were complete strangers, who we were able to advertise and market the show to, who bought tickets and came out. And that to me is very, very exciting, because there's no ceiling to that. There's no ceiling to how many tickets we could potentially sell. And it only goes up and up and up and up and up. So everybody, if you'll forgive me for indulging sort of the less favorable side of comedy, that is what's going on over here. So, whatever dream you're pursuing, I think that is so important to really try to have as holistic a understanding of what it is you're getting into. And understand that there is no dream that is all upside, that is all just sitting on a beach, drinking, sipping, pina coladas. Whatever you have a dream, there's going to be some suck to it, and there's going to be some elements to success that may not be the most glamorous or may not be what you thought it was, but understanding like, well, this goes along with it. And when I just look at what it is that I really want, being able to sell tickets is part of it. And if I can't do that, then I can't really have my dream. Barring, again, something, very miraculous, which, again, I'm so open to. But as my old acting teacher, Leslie Kahn, would say, while I'm waiting for that big break opportunity that's going to change it all, I might just want to figure out how to sell tickets now with where I'm at now and incorporate that skill set into my growth and my pursuit of my dream. So that's what I'm doing. And with that, everybody, I am going to leave it there. I hope that all of you are doing amazing. You're finding joy in your journey, and that you are finding how to pursue your dream, finding out what it really means and what it takes, and that you're having some success and some good times and experiences on your way. All right, everybody, that's all for today. This is the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, episode 317 for November 9th, 2024. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.